All right, let's get into it. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to understand exactly how we're going to upgrade the internet's core architecture. We're talking about a complete overhaul for a new high-speed agentic economy. And this quote, it absolutely nails the heart of the problem we're tackling today. See, the internet is fantastic at moving data. It doesn't care what that data is. It's a perfect copy machine. But it is completely 100% trust blind. So that brings us to what we could call the internet's original sin. It was built to move information, plain and simple. That's why it can't tell a cat picture from $1 billion transfer. It just has no concept of value. And for modern commerce, well, that's a fatal flaw. So because the internet is trust blind, we had to build this huge, clunky, and really expensive institutional patch right on top of it. Think banks, credit bureaus, clearinghouses, you name it. But here's the kicker. That patch was built for an era of paper ledgers. Now we're trying to run a machine speed economy on a trust layer that still needs people to manually check things and takes, 3 days to settle a transaction. It just can't keep up anymore. So what's the fix? Well, it's not just a faster database or some minor tweak. We need a fundamental upgrade. And that upgrade is called the Internet Trust Layer, or ITL. As you can see here, it's a package of 8 specific architectural transformations. They're designed to fix that original sin by weaving trust directly into the fabric of the network itself. Okay, so how do we actually build this thing? Let's start with the first 3 transformations, because these create the absolute foundation for this new agentic economy. This slide just lays out the shift perfectly. On the left, you've got the old idea, a single, giant world computer. Basically, one public whiteboard for all the world's commerce. That's a total non-starter for privacy, and it just doesn't scale. So the ITL flips that on its head. The first transformation moves us to the model on the right, private microledgers. Imagine a private blockchain for every single person in every company. That gives you infinite scalability and total privacy. Now, the next piece of this foundation, transformation number 7, is just brilliant. It's called ephemeral infrastructure. So instead of having permanent data centers, which are basically giant honeypots for hackers, the ITS spins up a temporary, secure, digital burner meeting room for every single transaction. And once the deal's done, poof, the room is deleted. You literally can't hack a room that doesn't exist anymore. That's security by design. And the last piece of our foundation is transformation number 8, peer discovery. The source material calls it the cocktail party protocol, which is perfect. Think about it. How do you find people you can trust in this decentralized world without a giant central phone book? You do it through verified introductions from people you already trust. This creates a chain of trust, where your reputation isn't some flimsy 5-star rating. It's a mathematical fact, proven by the network itself. Okay, so we've got the foundation. We've got our private ledgers, our disappearing meeting rooms, and a new way to find each other. But that leads to the next big question. Who, or maybe what, is actually going to operate on this new stage? And that question brings us right to our next section, the new players. Here, we're going to look at the 2 transformations that completely reinvent digital identity and money itself. Right, so transformation number 2 moves us way beyond the simple digital wallet, which, let's be honest, is just a glorified keychain. It's a passive bucket that holds your keys. Instead, we get active software agents. Now, don't think of these as wallets. Think of them as your personal digital fiduciary, like a digital lawyer or broker that can actually act on your behalf and enforce the rules of a deal using code. So what can these new agents actually do? Well, for starters, they can negotiate autonomously in milliseconds. They have verifiable authority, so they can offer mathematical proof that they're allowed to act for you. And they have legal integration, which means they know the difference between just a chat and a legally binding commitment. Basically, they enforce the fine print, so you don't have to. Now, smart agents are going to need smart money, and that's where transformation number 3 comes in. Active Commercial Bank Digital Currency, or CoBDC. This isn't the dead money just sitting in your bank account today. This is money with its own brain, an integrated logic layer. It's not just a number, it's a verifiable promise that knows its own history and can enforce its own rules. And here are the 3 core upgrades this gives us. First, programmable assurance. You can lock money to a specific purpose, so it only unlocks, say, when goods are actually delivered. Second, teleportation via proofs. Value moves instantly by just transferring a proof, not by waiting for slow settlement cycles. And third, regulated autonomy. The money is self-reporting, which keeps the banks in the loop for compliance without them being a bottleneck. Okay, so we have the foundation and we have the players. Now we need the rules of the game. This final set of transformations defines the whole new language for how these agents interact at machine speed. Now, this one is a really big deal. Transformation 4 is a major philosophical pivot. For years, the industry has been obsessed with turning assets into digital poker chips. That's the object-oriented model on the left. But a house or a bond isn't just an object, right? It's a whole web of relationships. The ITL focuses on verifying the links between parties because that's where the real value and context actually live.
So when those relationships change, how does the system know? That's where the fifth transformation comes in, atomic settlement. This is where the transaction and the settlement become the exact same event. The exchange of value and the proof that it happened occur simultaneously in one single indivisible heartbeat. No more waiting. Ever.
And what's the result of that? Well, the trust tax meter drops to zero. We spend billions of dollars today on reconciliation, which is just a fancy word for checking to make sure everyone's books match up after the fact. Atomic settlement makes that completely obsolete. The transaction is the reconciliation, which frees up trillions in capital that's currently just stuck in limbo, covering settlement risk. And finally, how are the rules themselves governed? Well, not by slow political committees. The sixth transformation introduces Darwinian governance. Think of it like a competitive market for business logic. The most efficient, secure, and compliant rule sets are the ones that get adopted by users. It's a kind of high-speed evolution where the best code wins, ensuring the economy's operating system is always on the cutting edge. So let's bring this all home in the debrief. When you put these 8 transformations together, you get a really profound shift, one that leads us to what the source material calls the agentic economy. The core outcome, the big idea, is this. We are finally moving away from an economy that has to rely on that slow, manual, institutional patch to fix the internet's trust problem. Instead, we're building an economy where trust is a native utility, as reliable and as ever-present as electricity. So, if you remember anything, remember these 4 mission takeaways. 1. Trust is infrastructure. It's handled by the network itself. 2. Money is alive. It's an active participant. 3. Relationships are the core, not just digital objects. And 4. Real speed requires absolute certainty. And that's what atomic settlement delivers. Look, this isn't some small tweak we're talking about. The agentic revolution means we're heading toward a future where trillions with a T of autonomous software agents are negotiating, settling, and governing the flow of value. And for a world like that to work, it absolutely needs the secure, private, and mathematically sound foundation of the internet trust layer. And with that, our briefing is complete. The tools for this new economy are being forged as we speak. So the only real question left is, how will you use your license to transform?